Hello there, this is Åsa with a new process video. I must say that I'm in the middle of a very experimental phase in my creativity at the moment, and I have all these new things that I want to try. And last video you saw the Mod Podge transfer, and now I'm bringing out some ink and a paintbrush to try and make some texting or calligraphy or whatever you might call it. So I just went ahead with watercolor paper and some ink from, I think I used the Dilutions ink, just a regular black ink anyway, and a round paintbrush and some patience, because this wasn't as easy as I had thought from the beginning. I don't know how many papers I covered with just words before I even thought that I had made anything that I could use in the future. But I didn't want to give up, and I actually had quite fun. So I just tried different kinds of holding the paintbrush and the different kinds of pressure, and I realized that I got the best effect when the paintbrush was almost going dry, because then I got these small gaps in the color that made them so much more interesting, just like empty spaces where the color didn't go, and I thought that was just the effect that I wanted to have, but it was a very narrow window when the paintbrush held just that much paint for that effect to happen. And I don't really know how I will come to master this small window of success. I also realized that writing big was a lot easier than writing small or painting small, and I think that I will continue this, but perhaps let it rest for a while, just to give myself some space to gather up some more enthusiasm for this technique. But right now I have written the words that I will be using for today's layout. And in my box of photos I found a photo of myself sitting by the fire and drinking coffee, and I seem to have cuddled up on a pillow and with a blanket, so I'm trying to keep warm. I guess it's a photo from around Christmas 2014. I will be working on this page from 7 gypsies that I have covered with one layer of gesso, and then I'll be using my gelatos again, and hubby is helping me choosing colors there, and I wanted to have something that went with the fire. I have cut out the title for this page from that sheet of watercolor paper that I wrote on before with a paintbrush, and I choose 2 words. This one, Värme, it means warmth, and the other word that I'll be using is hemma, which means home. So warmth at home or just home. I'll be applying the gelato paint with some plastic packaging, and I think I tried to get a smaller piece to work with there, but that's just stupid, because I think it's easier with the larger piece. And I think that these are the colors I will be working with. A while back I ordered a spray bottle that I'm using with water, and I am very happy that I bought this bottle. Before I used a mini mister to keep water at my work station, but it was always empty because the mini mister is so small, and this spray bottle holds a lot of water compared to that one, and I almost never need to refill it because it's just the right size, and it's big enough that I don't lose it when I'm working. So I'm very happy that I bought that. It makes mixed media a lot easier, and I use it a lot. Now I'm choosing the other word there for my title, and I'm cutting around it so that I leave a thin white border to make it more visible on the page. And I'm cutting it out with my silhouette scissors, and I try to just make it look like a die cut from an expensive package of Dear Lizzie words. And I remember that I felt really happy about this when I did it, and I think that effect is really nice. I even cut out the inside of those words, like those letters like the E and the A, to make it even more like a finished thing or title. So this is the words that I'll be using. When I had gotten this far, I realized that I needed to add more color, and I went back to the bag of gelatos and choose this orange color. It's called Mango, and it's totally one of my favorites because I just love orange. And I made a box there, and I sprayed some water on top of it and moved it around with my finger. And I'm still trying to get that kind of fiery color combination, so I added some red as well. I digged deep into my box of 6x6 papers and found these. I think they are from Bo Bunny, an autumn collection from a while back, and I thought they had just that fire color scheme that I was looking for, so I decided to use those as a matte for my photo. So some orange and some brown and some very deep red. And I don't really like the tone of this photo. Normally I would have perhaps made it black and white because it is so red in its color. It's an indoors photo with very bad lighting. So, but together with these color scheme and colors, I thought it still worked, and it actually gives warmth to the photo. I decided to frame the whole layout on a bit darker pattern paper. So I choose one that I wasn't very fond of. I don't know what collection it's from. Perhaps it's from the Mamarazzi collection from like years ago. And but I thought that I needed something dark to contrast on the white that is so visible on the page still. Even though I have painted with gelatos and added a lot of color, it's still a lot of white in the photo, in the page. And since I was going to use a dark or a black title, I wanted to not make it alone being dark on the page. And since I have added lots of different mediums on this page, I decided to use hot glue for adhering the photo block to the page. I have realized that my double-sided adhesive doesn't work very well with gesso and not with gelatos. It's like it can't stick properly to that kind of surface. I think it's almost like it's too fat or too oily. even though I don't think it contains any oil, but it's still not that good for my normal adhesive. I have a small box there with leftover pieces from earlier projects, and I had all these brown kind of craft colored arrows or chevron parts, and I decided that I wanted to use those as accents on this page. The craft color went really well with the warmth of this page and the kind of yellow, orange, red color scheme. No problem there, combining the two, the craft with those colors. Now I'm placing my title, and since the warmth word had a capital V, I decided to make that the main piece of the title. So I put that on the correct angle, and the home part of the title I put facing another direction along the photo, and I think that worked. I try not to think too much about the language part of scrapbooking, but when it came to this capital V there that I had chosen to write, I realized that it looked like a start, and then the home part had a lowercase h, so it got the more like the finishing or the end part of the title. I'm looking to see if I can use some of those photo mat pieces to make a cluster at the top of the page. I think that is a really nice technique to give the page consistency, or keeping it together, just repeating the papers or the patterns that is already on the page. And I also decided to use the same chevron parts or arrows in the top cluster. It also helps to tone down the very bright red a bit. I have made my own flare badges, or kind of flare badges, and these were from the same paper as I made the photo mat of, and I made 3 of them, just cut out with a paper punch circles, and I added a small gold glitter heart, and then I put a epoxy dome sticker on top of it. And to continue the black in the layout, I added a couple of perler bead plastic dots to the 3 embellishing clusters of the page. And as a finishing touch before the page is done, I take some ink or what's it called? It's color shine, and I sprinkle a couple of dots of orange color in the corners of the page. And this is what the finished page looked like. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this process video. Come back soon. Take care. This is Åsa. Bye.